in to your Friday edition of Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks, and somewhat bittersweet. This is going to be our last Bet show for a hot second. We're going to be back with you come November, and football season will be in full effect then. It will be coming to you, of course, from Bristol, Connecticut. A lot of changes, exciting changes happening here for all of us at ESPN and our gambling platform. So let's make this a good one. We've got Andre Snellings, who's going to be joining us now on the program. Ran into a little traffic, so actually is joining us from his car. Don't you just love technology, Dre? Great to have you on the show. Great that you can make it. We're going to kick off with the good word. Why? It's Friday, and it's a fun game we like to play. The Denver Nuggets, 4-1 to repeat. What's your good word?
Gauntlet. I know they're your team, but the odds are too short to bet on an NBA season that's such a gauntlet where anything can happen. In the last 3 seasons, I've had the Bucks as my preseason favorites to win each of those years, but in only one of those seasons have they actually gotten through the marathon with their team healthy enough to win. And even in that one, Giannis was playing through a knee injury. The Nuggets have only been fully healthy themselves once in the last 3 years, and there are just so many teams that could compete with them right now, even not knowing how the season's going to end. So this early, I like to look at odds at plus 1,000 or higher for season-long futures bets. Maybe a team like the 2022 champion Warriors at plus 1,500. But Nuggets at 4-1, that's too short for me before the gauntlet even begins.
My good word is back, baby, as in run it back. Let's be honest, 16-3 at their playoff run. Their offense, arguably the best in the NBA. It's not going anywhere, right? Murray, Joker, they are still that 1-2 punch. And let's be honest, whatever they want to do, they can do. They will dictate, and they will continue to dictate what they do on offense. They could win in transition. They could win playing some half-court offense as well. They're going to have some young, exciting talent that's going to be added, more additions to their roster. So I understand the odds aren't juicy. I understand that, but you want to be concerned about Phoenix. That's legit. The Warriors, the Kings, the Lakers, who I think are going to be a force to be reckoned with out of the West this season from the get-go, and the Clippers. But for me, I love the Denver Nuggets. I think they're going to run it back. I think they're going to win another championship this season. Statement number 2, the Arizona Cardinals win exactly just 1 game this season. And you can actually wager that at the window at 9-1 that they will win exactly just 1 game this season. What's your good word?
Waldo. As in, when I look at the Cardinals schedule, I'm looking for that 1 win like I'm playing Where's Waldo. According to our ESPN Football Power Index, the Cardinals project to be last in the NFL, 32nd in wins this season. They only have 1 total game against the rest of the bottom of the FPI ranked teams, and that 1 game is on the road at a Houston Texas team that I actually think will be improved under DeMeco Ryans. So for me, the Cardinals just feel like they're going to be really bad this season. Like they could make a run at the 08 Lions and 17 Browns for worst record in NFL history type bad. But on the flip side, if they are more competitive than I expect, they also have 4 games against teams that finished with 5 or fewer wins last season. So it just feels like either they're going to go for historic and be winless, or they'll just be run-of-the-mill worse than the NFL with 3 or 4 wins. Either way, I just don't see exactly 1 win. So I'm going to be out on that one.
So my good word is pass. I'm going to pass on this. Why? Well, they just traded for Dobbs, who one would argue, okay, an uptick in that quarterback room, because we don't know what we're going to get with Murray. When they do get Murray back, obviously top 15, top 20 quarterback in the NFL. And they're going up against Atlanta. They're going up against the Texans. And, of course, they faced the Rams twice. But the first time they faced the Rams is not until week 6, which I do believe there's a good shot that Kyler Murray will be back in action for the Cardinals at that point in time. Although, keep in mind, huge fire sale. They just traded away Josh Jones to the Texans. They traded away Isaiah Simmons to the Giants. Who knows? Is Zach Ertz to go next? We'll find out. But I just want to believe they will be able to win more than just one game this season, especially with Murray at quarterback. We have the U.S. Open that's kicking off right here in my backyard. Well, not really, maybe a few miles away. But Swiatek is minus 330 to not win the U.S. Open. Now, never really seen this before, right? That you can actually wager her to lose. She's the favorite to win at plus 240. With that being said, what's your good word?
Sally, because I'm taking the field. Rim shot, hey-o. I could have went Justin Fields or Kim Fields or Wrigley Field. You get the point. I think the field has a much, much better chance of winning this tournament than Swiatek does. Because right now, Swiatek's 2022 U.S. Open run, it's an outlier in her career. For her whole career, she's only even made the final of any major outside the French Open once at last season's U.S. Open. And besides that win, she's never been past the fourth round at Flushing Meadows. She went out in the fourth round of the other major hard court championship this season, the Australian Open. And this season, again, outside of winning the French, she's 0 for 8 winning any other tournament at the WTA 1000 level or higher, which the U.S. Open is. So, I mean, even last season, she had a gauntlet in her 4 second-week matches. She went through the 3 sets twice, tie breaks in each of the other 2. She won a tough tournament, but she was playing at a much higher level. This season, there are several of her peers that look tough. So even at minus 330, I see more value in taking the field.
So my good word is Coco, and not like the chocolate, but Coco Gauff. That's who I'm anticipating to win on the women's side for the U.S. Open. She just won in Cincinnati. She's actually won both her tournaments that she played heading into the U.S. Open. Her game has really been on point. She's coming in on fire. I know she hasn't won a major yet, and I think this very well could be the week, and she's going to have a ton of fans there rooting for her of course, at Flushing Meadows. So for all those reasons, I've got Coco Gauff. I think that she will win the U.S. Open on the ladies' side. With that being said, Dre, let's do a little preview, okay? It's the last major of the year. Monday it starts off, and we've got Carlos Alcaraz, who won this event last year. We saw him put on a show and beat the Joker in 5-set epic match at Wimbledon, but the Joker is still favored at plus 125. You've got Carlos, who's plus 190. So who would you play here?
So, I'm 3-0 this year, picking the men's single champs at the majors, and the pressure is on. I think Alcaraz should win, but I suspect that Djokovic is going to find a way to get it done. So I'm going to pick him. This could realistically be one of the last majors that Djokovic is favored to win in his entire career. Alcaraz is already essentially a co-favorite at every non-French Open slam. And next year, Rafael Nadal is expected back, so he'll be favored in Paris. Djokovic is currently the all-time Grand Slam leader in wins on the men's side, but only by 1 over his rival Nadal. And this is kind of his last best chance to pad that total before Nadal gets back. So I think the Joker is one of the ultimate competitors to ever step foot on a tennis court. And he's been really open with his desire to hold this record for all-time slams. And so even though the U.S. Open has not been as successful for him as Wimbledon or the Australian Open, I just kind of think he pulls out every stop to win in his return to Flushing after not being there the last 2 years because of COVID concerns. And I think he wants to cement himself at the top of the all-time slams list.
All right, just a second ago, you heard how I'm rolling when it comes to the ladies' side. I like Coco Gauff a lot. Like I said, she's coming in off of a win in Cincinnati. She's actually won her last 2 tournaments, and she's coming in favored 7-1, the best favorite of any American that's going to be playing the next few weeks in the U.S. Open. With that being said, do you feel as confident as I do that this could be the time that she wins her first major?
So I'm not necessarily ready to bet on Coco to win this first major, but I would bet on her to make the quarterfinals. I'm typically able to find odds on players making the quarters, and I like to parlay those. Like, for example, at the French Open this season, I won on a parlay featuring golf and Ons Jabeur to make the quarterfinals and Djokovic to win. So I'm looking at something like that. I like Coco to make the quarters again this season because she made the quarters at the U.S. Open last season, and this season she's made the quarters or beyond in 5 of the 10 tournaments that she's played that are WTA 1000 level or higher. So, I mean, she's 19. She's got the feel of a player that could kind of be at her current level for a while and then suddenly break out to win. And that could happen with this one. Anita, to your point, she's been hot. But for betting purposes, I see the most value in betting her to make the quarter.
Okay, so with that being said, then who on the ladies' side do you fancy? Who do you think's going to win on the ladies' side?
I'm going back to the well again, and I'm picking Ons Jabeur at plus 1,600. So for those of you that watch this show regularly, you know I picked Jabeur pre-tourney to win each of the last 3 summer majors. That's both of the last 2 Wimbledons and last year's U.S. Open. And she's made the final all 3 times, then played a subpar match to lose in the final. It's happened 3 times in a row. It feels personal. It's kind of driving me crazy. But I feel like the tennis gods are kind of forcing my hand here because her odds are just way too long. I found her as low as plus 2,100. So even though she's the defending finalist at both last year's U.S. Open and the most recent major at Wimbledon, her odds are still really low. And so, you know, I recently interviewed football coach Herm Edwards, and he says he thinks the key to breaking through is just to keep putting yourself in position to win. And eventually you got no choice but to do it. So I'm going to roll with that philosophy, and I'm going with Ons Jabeur yet again to make the final and actually win this time.
Let's talk about Vondrousova, right? We know she won Wimbledon, the first unseeded woman to do so. She's 20-1 here, tied for 6th. Do you think she makes some noise and surprises some folks this week?
I'm not picking her to win this U.S. Open, even at 20-1, because it really kind of felt like she caught lightning in a bottle to win Wimbledon. Now, I mean, to be fair, she wasn't the typical unseeded, quote unquote, player, because even though she was, she was unranked at the time, she's been legit top 20 at her late teens and early 20s. And she just struggled with injuries after the pandemic. So right now she's in the top 10, but outside of that Wimbledon win, she never made it past the 4th round of any WTA 1000 tournament she played this season until she made the quarterfinals at Cincy this month. So she's got the game. She's a hard-hitting lefty, and she's still only 24 years old. I'm like I did with Coco. I could see betting her to make the quarters as part of a parlay, but it just seems unlikely she puts together another perfect run to actually win another major this season.
All right, Dre, great work getting everybody ready for the U.S. Open that kicks off the next 2 weeks, and you'll be able to watch a lot of it on all our ESPN platforms. Let's turn our attention to the NFL Week 1 and some big games. We kick off on that Thursday night. Detroit going up against Kansas City at home. They're getting their Super Bowl ring, and they are favored by 6.5. The over-under is at 54. My play is on the over. That's how I'm playing this bad boy. What say you?
I say the lady is a genius. I'm also playing the over. I mean, in the Mahomes era, the Chiefs get out the gate fast on offense and slow on defense. They've had 5 openers since 2018. They've averaged 37.8 points per game. Their lowest scoring game in those 5 was 33 points. And they've combined with their opponents to average 62.6 points, only going under 62 points once in the pandemic year of 2020. So the Lions, the last 2 seasons, they've also got out the gate smoking on offense, but light on defense. Last year, they combined with the Eagles for 73 points. The year before that, they combined with the 49ers for 74 points. So on the Chiefs side, there's uncertainty whether Chris Jones is even going to play. He'll be on the field for that first game. He said he could sit out potentially till week 8. So their defense is going to be maybe weaker than usual with their offense so hot. I think this is going to be a point show.
I'm with you. So we start the season week 1 with that game, and we end with the Buffalo Bills and the Jets. This is going to be a doozy, right? Buffalo coming to New York. Buffalo favored by 2. The over-under is 47. I like the Bills here. What side are you on?
So in this one, we disagree. I'm taking the Jets +2. There are so many narratives surrounding these teams this offseason. So much news about the Jets. But as I try to cut through the mountain of hype, I'm left with a few things I think I know. For one, the Jets played the Bills tough both games last season. And they actually won the home matchup with Zach Wilson at quarterback. You know, for 2, Aaron Rodgers has a penchant for playing to the crowd, and he seems to be trying his best to rewrite his narrative as New York's savior. So I think he has a monster game in his debut on Monday Night Football at home. And I just don't love the energy surrounding the Bills this offseason, especially with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and having to start off week 1 facing Sauce Gardner just doesn't seem like a recipe for success. So in the battle between Dalvin Cook's Jets and James Cook's Bills, I'm going to take Big Brother squad and the points.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other 3 games I talked about on Wednesday that I really like heading into week 1. We'll see if maybe you have a comment on any of them, and then we're going to get yours in just a second. But probably one of my favorite plays, I like the Steelers getting the points at home against the 49ers, right? Defensive makeover. Pickett has looked great in the preseason, coming into his 2nd season. And for Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, to start the season at Pittsburgh, good luck with that. I love the Jags. They're favored by 4 going up against the Colts, especially since Anthony Richardson has been appointed the starter. I'm not expecting big things from him this season. I think this is going to be a year of growth and development for him. And last but not least, give me the Giants with the points at home going up against Dallas. Buckle up. I don't think folks are going to be ready for their offense. Their defense is going to be solid. Like I said just a few minutes ago, they traded for Isaiah Simmons, who I think they're going to add to the pass rush that Wink Martindale is going to tee up. I think Dak Prescott on that offensive line is in for a long night in week 1. So those are my 3 favorite plays heading into week 1. Let's tee up yours. First and foremost, I know you're on Minnesota, right? -6.5 against the Bucs. The Bucs, we know Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback. What's your play here?
Yeah, I'm going Vikings -6.5 over the Bucs. I think the Vikings were so overrated by their 13-4 record last season that the pendulum swung too far, and now they're underrated. They can put points on the board. They've got Cousins and Jefferson as the foundation, and I think their defense is going to be a lot better under Flores. So I like for them to win this one comfortably. I like the Commanders -7 over the Cardinals. I've already talked about how I think the Cardinals can be historically bad, especially to start the season. And I think the Commanders ride the momentum of their team being traded this offseason. And I think they win their home opener by double digits. And then finally, I'll go with the Ravens because while I do expect the Texans to be better under DeMeco Ryans, I think the Ravens are just going to come out the gate smoking. I like Lamar Jackson got his money. I like that the team, the new offensive coordinator is turning the reins over to him. And I really like Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers added on the outside. So I look for them to win a comfortable one, put up too many points for the Texans to be able to match.
Yeah, out of all those, I love the Ravens play. Absolutely. Todd Monken now the new offensive coordinator. This is not your grandfather's Baltimore Ravens team anymore, where it's all about the rushing game and defense. I think this offense is going to be really explosive through the air. I also like the Baltimore Ravens over team total points in that game against the Texans. As always, we like to end the show with before I let you go, but literally, Dre, before I let you go, I want you to be a part of it. Now, I'm going to have some fun here. Again, you're all about professional tennis. And like I said, we've got the U.S. Open that kicks off here for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to play a fun 11-pick parlay. Follow me here. I'm going to take the absolute locks, right? Automatic first-round winners. And let's take a look at the men. I mean, listen, look at these odds. This is why I'm playing them in a parlay, right? The Joker, Carlos, Sinner, Fritz, just to name a few. I want you to take a look So I'm playing all these straight up, these dudes to win, and I'm going to parlay them along with, let's show the ladies here, right? Like, so Swiatek, Sabalenka, Azarenka, Pegula as well. Now, I did not include Coco Gauff. We're not going to know who Coco Gauff is going to play until after Saturday. I might even add her to the mix, which obviously then would be a 12-play parlay, which you get better odds. But this is what we have right now, okay? At minus 125, you're looking at these. Do you feel that these are sure locks, absolutely can't lose matchups? And would you go to the window with this 11-pick parlay?
All right, so first of all, you've been doing this long enough to know there is no absolute lock sure thing. Anything can happen. But I do like these picks. I think that they're all fairly safe. I think probably the Vika Azarenka, she's the one that I would maybe be the most nervous on, because sometimes as her career has gone along, she stumbles early. But, Mukova's playing great. Pegula's playing great for the women. On the men's side, Tiafoe really balled out last year. Yeah, these should be safe. You should be safe here. But every so often, there's a Buster Douglas to that Mike Tyson. So, but yeah, I would go to the window with it.
All right. I already have, to be quite frank. It's going to be fun watching the first round and see how this all plays out. Hopefully, I have given our viewers a winner. Dre, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Glad that you were able to pull off to the side of the road to help us host Bet. Appreciate you, my friend. Get home safe. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank Weimer, our producer, everybody who works on Bet. We're just going on hiatus, so stay tuned. We will be back from Bristol, coming your way in November. So try not to miss us too much. We'll see you then.